Here on the left side of the unit are the inputs. These are 1/4-inch tip ring sleeve balanced inputs, and they're available either on the front of the unit or on the back of the unit. You can plug in either place. They're just parallel inputs. The back inputs are nice. If you have it rack mounted, you can plug into the back and then run those connections over to the patch bay on the mixing board. Or if you need it quickly plugged into the unit, you can plug right in the front of the box. Either way. These knobs here control the level of the signal going into the Russian Dragon. And these little LEDs right here are level indicators to show you how much signal is going into the unit. We've found that to get maximum accuracy on the Russian Dragon, you need to make sure that the level going into both inputs is about the same. This switch lets you check the polarity or the starting direction of the waveform of the input signals. Now, right now I have a snare drum connected to channel 2 of the Russian Dragon. And if we want to check the polarity of that signal, you hold down this button while the signal is coming in. If you look real closely on here, you can see there's a little check mark and an arrow going to the right. What that means is I'll hold it down and hit the snare drum, and that says that if I light up any LED on the right side of center, see the arrows pointed to the right, if I light up any LED on the right side of center, then the polarity of that signal is okay. If when I hold it down, I hit the snare drum and I light an LED on the left side of center, then the polarity is incorrect of that signal, and you need to reverse the polarity on the mixing board. The Russian Dragon doesn't fix the polarity of the signal. You have to do that with an external device like the polarity switch of the mixing board. Now, you might be saying, well, what's so important about this polarity stuff? Why do I even care about it? Well, here's an application that you would need to be concerned about the polarity. Let's say you're trying to line up 2 snare drum samples. You want to put them both together to create one big fat snare drum. Well, you can use the Russian Dragon to line up the 2 signals, but if one of the waveforms happens to start in the negative direction and the other sample's waveform starts in the positive direction, when you put them both together, they're not going to sound very good. They're going to be actually working against each other. So this little momentary switch here, this little polarity check switch, lets you quickly check the polarity of the signals going in, and if one needs to be reversed, you can change it. Notice on this the top switch here to check its polarity, when you hold it down, if you light up any LED on the left side of center, then its polarity is okay. Now, I've talked to you about this LED display. You see the LEDs near the center of the display are green. This is helpful for a musician that's using the Russian Dragon to check his timing accuracy. As long as he stays in the green area, he's doing all right because he's close enough to the beat. But these yellow these next set of LEDs farther away from center are yellow. If he lights one of those, it's caution. He needs to watch out. And the LEDs way out here on the ends of the display are red. If he lights one of those, then he's fired. Now, the next LED here on the display are these 2 little trigger LEDs. These are a quick way to verify that the Russian Dragon is triggering off your signal that you're sending it. I have the snare drum going into channel 2. Now, the next control is these mask controls here, these 2 knobs that say mask, M-A-S-K here in between. Here's how we use the mask control. Let's say that we're checking the timing accuracy of a sound with a long decay. For example, like a cymbal crash that sustains for a long time, like pshh, it lasts for a long time. Or a snare that has a lot of reverb on it. I'm going to go ahead and increase the reverb on this snare drum so we can show you how we use the mask control. Let me add more reverb to the snare drum. Now, I'm going to decrease the amount of the mask time here. And watch the LED. You see how it triggers a couple of times and kind of re-triggers. It flickers. you see the Russian Dragon, since it's a long sound and it's hanging in there, the Russian Dragon is confused and thinks you sent it another signal real quickly. In a case like that where you have a long sustaining signal, you need to increase the mask time here so it just triggers off the beginning of the sound and then it doesn't trigger anymore. It's not able to trigger anymore. See, in this application, in this setting here, it triggers and then it hangs for about 1/4 of a second and won't let you feed another signal in for that amount of time. This is good for also checking timing of bass guitar notes, of bass sustains, usually for 1/2 a second or so. So you would increase this knob to the appropriate time so that it triggers off the beginning of the note and then releases until he's ready to play the next note. So that's the mask controls. Now the next knob is this milliseconds per LED, and that adjusts the time sensitivity of the LED display. For example, let's say this is back to a live musician playing, if it's a drummer that is just learning how to play with a click, he would need to start out with a very wide setting or very large setting on the milliseconds per LED control, so he'd have a bigger target to aim at, you might say. But as he gets the hang of it, you can close this down to make it more challenging for him to stay in the green area. Now, this control here, this is just the power switch, turn the unit off and on. And then let's take a look at the back to see what's on the back of the unit. We have the 2 inputs that are on the back here. And then also the power connection here. You see, it uses 12 volts DC with the center pin negative.